Okay, everybody, how you doing? This is KIN230W80, and this will be an overview of the syllabi for this term. The syllabi itself serves on a couple different fronts, one of which is kind of informational. And beyond being informational, it's also a three-party agreement between you, the student, myself, the instructor, and the college itself. And the information that's provided in the syllabus outlines many of these components, but also it's a resource document, as you'll see. So as we go through, we'll just go from top to bottom. I'm sure you've done this a couple times before, but I always like to hit some highlights here. Math and Sciences, if you ever need to reach our division, here's their email and phone number. Drop down a little bit further. We know we're a 3-credit course. We know that our class is online asynchronous, and the content's delivered completely online without any scheduled meeting times. Now to that end, and you'll see here later on, what I've done is I've set all the content to go live as of March 1st. And that way, we have some people who work full-time jobs, some are teachers, we have spring break 3 weeks into the semester, 3 weeks into the course. And so to a certain degree, you can go ahead and just plow through a ton of content, with the caveat and the understanding that, you might do a couple assignments that might be post and response number 6, which is several weeks out, but I just won't be able to grade it because your post and response is out there, but there's nobody for you to respond to. So, I might wait on grading some assignments, and I'll hold that discretion to be able to do that, because frankly, I'd rather have several of post and responses to be able to grade at one time, or several of the writing assignments, say like writing assignment number 5, to grade side by side at one time. That way I can kind of get into a groove while grading and be on topic. All right, further on. Some important information that we have regarding the class. We have the first week of class is March 9th, though I just mentioned I'm going to open up content on March 1st. Last day to drop for 100% refund is March 18th. Spring break is the 23rd through the 19th, and the college is closed for 2 dates. And this doesn't really affect us because we're online, but just in case you have classes on campus, April 2nd and April 3rd, the campus is closed for professional development and reading day. And then you get into last day to withdraw from this course, April 27th. Now notice the difference. One is for 100% refund. This one is without refund. And the last day of class is May 10th. So real quick sidebar here. I hope you never find yourself into a point where you're considering you need to drop for 100% refund or just withdraw from the course. Hopefully, you'll be able to reach out to me beforehand. Many times if I see students who are kind of struggling a little bit, I'll reach out to them proactively. But long story short, I'm hopefully you never find yourself in a position where you have to drop the class or withdraw from the class. My information, you can refer to me as Adrian. That's totally fine. My email address is afleische, F-L-E-I-S-H-E. The email address that we had on campus, there's only so many characters on the front end. That's why I cut off the R on my last name. Weird, I know, but that's what it is. And then office hours, I'm happy to make office hours by appointment. We can do that via WebEx. 100% email is the best way. This is a number that's on campus, but I don't have a desk. I don't have a phone sitting on a desk in an office somewhere. I'm an adjunct professor. So the best way to reach me is email. And I usually get back to people, within a very short amount of time, but I can guarantee it's within 24 hours. So further down, we get into course description. And this is something you've read when you signed up for the course, provides an understanding of physiological response and adaptation to exercise and other stressors. And we'll go into different areas of these physiological responses and different systems within the body. And then beyond that, your prerequisite is English 101. And if you need any help figuring out if you have all the prerequisites in place, you can go here. All right, so further down, course outcomes. These are the things we're looking to accomplish in this course. And basically the entire course content is driven to fulfill these expectations. When we look at this, you're also going to need the ability to access the internet. That's kind of crucial for this class, and I'm sure any other class that you're in. But accessibility via the internet is key. When we get a little bit further down here, the book is Schoenfeld and Snar, and they're the editors of the book. And by that, I mean each chapter of the National Strength Conditioning Essentials of Personal Training is written by different authors. And Schoenfeld and Snar are the ones that actually are editing the material before it becomes a textbook. The book itself, you have the ISBN number here, but if you want, you could do a control click from here to jump out to the bookstore, and it should take you right to the page for this particular book for this particular class. As I mentioned before, you're going to need access to the internet. You're going to have to be able to access and be able to understand how to use Blackboard. Given this is a 200 level course, I'm presuming that most of you have that functionality and have that ability. But if you have difficulty, you can always go to Blackboard website. You can go to Student Services Desk or give them a call, and they'll be happy to help you out with any issues you may have with Blackboard. But all content is delivered through Blackboard, and all of your assignments will be delivered to me through Blackboard, and everything will be graded on Blackboard. All right, criteria. When you look at the grades here, you can look at, we have 8 post and response, 8 written assignments, 8 quizzes, and then we have 4 exams. The cycle of the exams is every other week, basically at the end of each module. And the total points for the class is 440. So when it's all said and done, to get on the A train, you just take your 90% times 440, and that tells you how many points you actually need. Oftentimes what students will do, they'll hand in 2 assignments, and they'll get like a 20 out of 20, or they'll get a 10 out of 10 and a 15 out of 15. And it'll show in their Blackboard that they have an A for a course, but they've only completed 25 out of the 440 points. It's unrealistic to think a person would get an A in a class only handing in 2 assignments. So I urge you to be kind of diligent and stay on top of your grades, because oftentimes I have had several times where people thought they had an A in the course and they only handed in 2 or 3 assignments. So make sure you stay on top of your grades. And I also send out multiple messages and correspondences through Blackboard just to make sure you guys are on top of your stuff. Next up, the descriptions of the different functional areas that I mentioned above in terms of post and response, written assignment, quizzes, and exams. Beyond that, when we get down here to grading policies, I opened everything will be opened on March 1st, and class actually starts on March 9th, I believe it is. So to that end, you're able to get ahead of the content curve and the assignment curve, if you will, by about a good week to maybe 9 days. And if you're able to do it, go ahead and do it. I try to grade things as they come in. I don't try to have like where I have 150 assignments I have to grade over a weekend. I would much rather take like 8 to 10 assignments for perhaps post and response 1, or 8 to 10 assignments for a written response, and just be able to grade those as they come in, as opposed to waiting. Now, as I mentioned earlier, there might be a situation where you're the only person that's submitted a post and response to this point, and we just might have to wait for other people to join a discussion board for me to actually do some grading. But I'm pretty diligent about my grading. I try to stay on top of it so you know where you are at any given time in the course. And understandably, 8 weeks goes pretty quick, so you have to be on top of your stuff, both as an instructor and a student. We don't have to worry too much about in-person attendance, but you have to understand that midway through the course, I'm asked to send in midterms, and part of midterms requires me to submit if a student has been logging in or not to the class. And there's usually some issues regarding financial aid, et cetera, if a student has not been logging in. So I urge you to just log in and do your work and get your stuff done and get the grade, right? And then at the very end, you'll receive course surveys right about the last week, maybe 2 weeks. I definitely urge you and ask of you, if you could, go ahead and complete those. I read the feedback, I take it and I apply it into the next semester. I can tell you that this course, the way it looks today, did not look like this when I first started teaching. And a lot of that is based upon just a natural evolution of teaching, of course, but also it's from the input that I've received from other students. So, you can kind of pay it forward and let me know what's going on. And I actually read those things and I will implement. If I have great suggestions, I do that. As we get a little bit further down here, we get into course and college policies, and this is more about student code of conduct, things about cheating, plagiarism, unauthorized collaboration. And I'm pretty good at guiding you guys regarding plagiarism and making sure that you follow APA style so you don't plagiarize by accident. But it's going to be a thing in this course because you're writing a lot of papers and you're going to have to do a little digging and a little research, and you're going to have to reference and source and cite your sources as well. Further down, we get into things like equal opportunity statement as well as student conduct. But I want to point out, if we get a little bit further down past this stuff here in terms of like FERPA laws and student conduct and privacy and accessibility and also copyright. So if you do utilize or reference something, make sure you source it and cite it. If you do source it, make sure you cite it. I want to get down to here because this is kind of important. You're in a college environment and we have untold departments here to support students. And I say this every time I'd shoot one of these videos for my students, that no student ever needs suffer in silence. You are in the most resource-rich environment you'll ever be in, probably in the rest of your lives. And it could be food insecurity. It could be being able to commute to school, could be roommate issues, problems at home, perhaps you're sick, whatever it may be. There are many resources on this campus, everything from food insecurity to being able to write a paper and tutoring centers. So I urge you to lean into those. And there's been times where students have used those in my courses, but there's also been times where students have come to me and said, hey, I got this going on, where do I go? And we're able to find some type of resolution for that student. So you don't, again, I say it again, and again, you don't ever need suffer in silence. Further down, safety, wellness, and resources at Harper, you can go to the other student support page that we have here. Both links will take you to the same place, but you have these other resources in terms of your overall wellness, accessibility and access and disability services. If a student needs an exam read to them or needs more time on an exam, I'll receive correspondence from ADS long before the student will ever contact me. So I usually know this beforehand, before the student is even in the class. So to that end, if you need those services, you can let me know. More than likely, though, I'll be reaching out to you beforehand anyways. If we go a little bit further down, this is kind of important down here in the bottom. This is the course schedule. And on the course schedule, this outlines, and just so you know, this is red, orange, and this is yellow actually, but I'm in midnight mode on my computer screen. And then you have green down here. And so when you go into our course, you'll see our course folders and everything else all mapped out in red, orange, yellow, and green. And you can see module 1 is red, module 2 is orange, module 3 is yellow, and module 4 is green. And as you look at it, we have a spring break tucked away here in gray. So, module 1, this is, as we're digging through this, you have chapters 1, 4, and 5, and everything due is by March 15th, and here are the assignments you need to do. So it's I try to make it very streamlined and try to make it very clear so it's it's easy to find assignments and easy to actually kind of navigate the course. When you get done with this presentation, you'll end up jumping over to another presentation. Let me just get to that. Click on this and kick on over. You'll go into learning modules. So you'll close that other presentation out and you'll go into here, learning modules tab right here. Start here. This video will explain a lot of what I'm talking about with the color codification and how things are organized. Well, you have mod 1, mod 2, mod 3, and mod 4. Red, orange, yellow, green. And what you'll find when you open that up, and that'll be the explanation you'll get in terms of mod 0, start here. When you go into this, you'll find it's pretty well organized, and I think it's something you'll be able to navigate pretty easily on your phone or your notebook. All right, guys, with that, I'm going to jump out of this video and let you guys kick on over to the learning modules video, and we can get going in this course. Thank you so much.